Welcome to One Eye Television. I'm here at Community Media of Staten Island, New York. Here I wanted to bring to you all my great show based around my art and my experience as being an artist. Through my art, I share with you all different techniques and different styles. Hope you all enjoy the show. This art piece that I'm creating today will be an art piece that I wanted to tell a story through this piece to help the youth. I wanted to design this art piece to give the behind the scenes of what it was like for me being incarcerated and doing jail time. Before we get into the subject, I wanted to kind of give you a brief discussion on what it was like for me to create this piece. As you can see my hand moving and quickly giving just really a little light lines to kind of like, briefly give the subject its shape and form. What I'm doing in this art piece, I'm using the pencil with the lead, not to really give fine details of the subject, but I want to kind of give just a very small detail of each subject, because it's gonna be anywhere from 3 to maybe 5 subjects in this sketch, and each sketch will have its own detail, its own form, and its own definition of and its importance of being in the art piece. And that's one thing that I learned by creating art, is every object or every piece that plays a part in the picture has its own meaning and its own journey in the subject of the painting or art piece or sketch or drawing. So as you can see, as I continue to create, I'm really like calculating in my mind what and how I'm gonna tell this story to tie in with the subject. The subject today is called Jailbirds. The reason why I picked that subject, because I wanted to give the subject matter my experience of what it was like me being incarcerated. When I was incarcerated and doing time, I always seen the birds flying out my cell windows, and they hung around the jail cells. And some of the inmates, when we would go out on the yard or go out and play basketball, a lot of times we would throw food, crackers, pieces of chips to feed the birds, to kind of get them to come towards us. And some people had their special birds as pets, So, but one thing I learned, there's a lesson in every journey of life. And one of the things that I've learned when I was incarcerated doing jail time and my experience being around or seeing birds that could fly and travel freely, it was the value of their freedom. And that was something that I learned from seeing those birds that came around the jail facilities. And a lot of them, like I said, a lot of the birds, they flew in some parts of the jails where they could either, hang around the jails. And one of the things that I learned from their freedom was I lost my freedom. I lost my choice of freedom. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. And that was something that I learned, that it was my behaviors and my decisions that caused me to lose my freedom. So as I continue to create this picture, as you can see, now I'm at the stage of somewhat giving the more detail of the subject matter and giving its form, giving each one of them, each bird that I'm creating, I want to give them their own identity. And as you can see, the lines are getting somewhat a little more thicker, more detailed, more somewhat more defined, because now I'm at the stage I have the proportions right. I have the measurements right. I have everything that I wanted to fit on this piece of paper, and I have them in the right spaces that I need them to be able to pull this subject matter off. So as I continue to tell the story, I want to kind of give an experience of some of the things that I experienced when I was incarcerated. One of the things that the things that I learned far as being incarcerated was I had time to do a lot of soul searching, a lot of looking at my life, a lot of paying attention to and asking myself, what do I want? Where am I going? I got a chance to really like get to know me from a point of view from the word, not from the words perspective, but I got a chance to learn who I was as a person, as because you have a lot of time to think in jail. You have a lot of time to meditate and reflect back off what your life was when you were out in the free world. So one of the things that I learned to do and to ease my time was I would draw and create art, and that was a way of me even because when I tied into these birds and the freedom that they had. See, once I began to pick up the pencil and create and sketch and draw, see, it was like a freedom to me, because when I began to create, it was like I wasn't in jail, once I got, because see, let me back up. Let me share this part of the show with you all. In jail, it was somewhat hard to get pencils or even anything to draw with or anything to write with, because a lot of times the inmate will use sharp pencils or E-pen to stab someone with. They will use the E-pen as a weapon, just like a toothbrush. They would take the toothbrush and they will sharpen it down on the concrete to make it as where it get real sharp. So the same thing as far as a pencil. So in some situations there was hard to come across pencils and E-pens to draw with. So in saying that, they had different rules with E-pens and pencils, is where they found a way to give you an E-pen or a pencil that wasn't able to stab you or do any harm with you. So they will only give you the inside of the pen. Instead of the cover of the pen, they would take it out and they would have like this rubbery. It wasn't able to stab anyone. It wouldn't do no harm. So in saying that, once I was able to, and plus it was hard to come across paper, it was, you had to get drawing paper, and sometimes drawing paper was hard to come by. So a lot of times I would use my court papers or my court documents, and I would draw on the back of those to build my portfolio. So in saying that, as I continued to create in jail, drawing was like a freedom to me. It helped me escape. Just like the bird would fly in and come to the jail and mingle with the inmates, and when it was time to go, they would fly off with their freedom. So that's what art did to me. Art helped me escape. It helped me fly away from jail. because it was like once I pick up the pencil and once I began to create on paper, it was like I flew away. I flew away from the jail. My body was there, but my mind was free. And that's something that I learned with my art. Even in the world, when I'm out in the free world, it's like once I get in the zone of, that's something that I learned in jail, that no matter where I'm at, where I'm at in life, art helps me fly away. It helped me get into this world where I'm free. It brings peace. It brings joy, happiness. It brings, just the good feelings of life towards my soul and my mind and my heart. So as you can see now where I'm at in this piece, I'm getting more detail with the birds and I'm just really giving you a quick glance at some of the pictures in my head, or some of the moments that I shared being in jail and watching the birds fly in and pick like food up off the ground, and they fly in with the wings, and like I said, there's a lesson in everything that you experience, and that was something that I experienced watching and studying animals, and that was just something that I love to do. But as I continue to show you this form, now I'm getting ready to give the subject matter more detail. So what I'm doing now that I have the form of the bird, so what I want to do now, I want to give more depth to the subject, to one of the subject matters of this art piece. So what I'm doing, I'm slightly glazing over this subject matter because I want to give it more depth. Because see, this is like gonna be like the first layer of this subject matter, and doing this, it helps me. It helps it helps this piece of the art. It gives it more. It gives it more depth and more definition to the subject matter. So back to the subject of creating while incarcerated and what it was like losing my freedom. Losing my freedom, I come to realize, that is something that I come to learn, that your freedom is everything. And losing my freedom, I had to adapt to other people telling me what to do. Being incarcerated, you will meet very talented brothers, people with all different types of brilliant imaginations and skills. When I was incarcerated, I used to love being amongst other artists, and I used to like learn more in different techniques from them. And one of the things that I learned being amongst the artists was how to hustle the art in jail. So what I learned to do when I was incarcerated, I learned how to sketch pictures of people, family members, sketch people of the inmates, and we would trade. I would trade my art for commissary, either food, hot trays, anything that was valuable far as my art, and that was something that kind of gave me another look at how my art can help me in the free world. Because when I was out, when I was experiencing going to jail and doing a lot of jail time, I wouldn't draw when I was out in the world. So one of the things that kind of, like I said, kind of gave me another look at my ability to be able to draw and be able to sell my art and being incarcerated for like food and commissary. And at the time I was smoking cigarettes. So yeah, I used to switch my art for like cigarettes and things like that. So one thing that did help me to understand was maybe when I get out in the outside world, I can use my art to go a different route in life instead of going back to the streets doing crime. Maybe I have a shot with this art. Maybe I can take this art and do something with it. So once I began to understand that, and once I began to, then I started studying other artists like in being incarcerated, and a lot of them was, so most of them was like tattoo artists. A lot of them, they did tattoos for art, and so when they got out, they either went to a tattoo shop, things like that. But I really wasn't never into doing tattoos. I wouldn't mind sketching or drawing the art for the tattoo, but me doing art and sketching for doing with the needle, putting tattoos on people's bodies, I never was into that. I didn't want to be that type of artist. I wanted to be either in art galleries or or in a book form, So as you can see now in this painting, the sketching or the detail is becoming more detailed, more depth. As you can see, the first coat that I put over this subject bird of this bird. Now that I'm coming over that, now it's like the third. This is sort of like the third or the second or third layer to this painting of this bird. So you can see the first layer gives more definition to the third layers. So now what I'm doing now is I'm giving all the subject matters their own personality, their own definition, their own characteristics, and and their own action in the painting, and that's far as me creating art. That is just something I learned with time, learning how to give each subject its own characteristics and its own subject matter in its own time, in its own just mainly its own understanding because I'm bringing a real story, a real piece of art to life, tied in with a subject matter of a story that I experienced. And through this story, you can see in this painting what I'm doing far as telling this story of what it's like being incarcerated with the subject matter of freedom. I must say, before we end this beautiful piece, doing time and creating art in doing my time, that's where I really found my true passion, and it really defined my destination to being an artist, because the gift had always been there. The gift always been with me since a little kid, always, because I drew when I was little. When I was in elementary, I think I was in the 5th or 6th grade, I won the first prize for being an artist in the, I think, 5th or 6th grade. And I remember my mother was so proud, and it was amazing to me. But at the time, I can't remember what age I was, but I know I was in the 5th or 6th grade, and it was like, it wasn't, I ain't gonna say it wasn't amazing to me. It was like I felt as though it was like that wasn't even my best art, and it was. I ain't gonna say I didn't value it, because I'm gonna say I didn't know what I had. Let me put it to you like that, because it was easy to me. That's when I realized, like, I know I got a gift when I was in jail, but I didn't know it when I was younger, that it was a gift because it was so easy. And that what makes it a gift to me, because I realized that a lot of people can't draw. A lot of people is not able to pull off an imagination and put it on paper and tell stories behind what the picture means. So like I said, when I was in the fifth to sixth grade, I won this art contest. I think it was out of the whole school. I remember them giving me a prize, a certificate, and all that. And but I never thought it was gonna be with me, where I would take this gift and it's gonna affect my life, where it's gonna be a part of my life years down the line. That's something that I didn't think that was gonna happen. So, like I said, me being incarcerated, and cause see, that's the only time I really paid attention to this gift. It was because I was incarcerated, and I knew if I created art, I could either sell it for food, for cigarettes, phone time, whatever the benefit was. I could use the art to trade off to benefit me. But in doing so, I continued to create, and also, like I said, there were other artists in the jails that created, as where it was more of a positive competition, and so we would compete against each other, and at the same time it was more like they was teaching me different skills, and I was learning more about how to create and what to create, because by me being blind in my right eye, I felt as though my art wasn't accurate or wasn't on point. So as I continued to create every day, that's something that I did every day when I was incarcerated. Every day I would get up, do my normal routine, draw, sketch, hustle. And in doing so, I realized and began to see that my art was changing. I was being able to make the art as where it would be on point. I began to like the art because I know other people were satisfied with the art, and I was satisfied with it. And that's when the journey began to take off, as well. I can't say my foundation of being a true artist or falling in love with art began by being incarcerated and being able to practice each day to study what I had. And that's where my heart grew for the love of art. After years of incarceration, I really didn't have that much confidence in my art. I thought that my art was only good enough for jailhouse art. And one of the things that I worked on when I was incarcerated was, if I'm gonna be a real artist, this is something I told myself. If I was gonna be a real artist, how am I gonna take this art and take it out into the free world and be able to benefit from it? Because there's a lot of jailhouse artists. I was a jailhouse artist, meaning I only drew when I came to jail. And when I left jail, I left the art skills there. So after being incarcerated so many years and being in there and wanting a new way and wanting a better way of life, I began to think, ask questions, study, different ways that I could take my art to the streets, take my art into the free world. How can I take this art into the free world and learn how to use this art instead of going back to doing crime and in the street life? Do I have enough confidence to take my art out into the world and use my art to redefine myself, redefine my lifestyle, redefine everything about me? So what I began to do, I began to create this portfolio when I was in jail. I began to draw a lot of pictures, and I was building a portfolio. That's what I learned to do in jail. I started building a portfolio. So once I began to build this portfolio, I knew that one day I was gonna get out. So I was gonna take my portfolio and I was gonna take this portfolio to share with other artists or art galleries or whoever I needed to show it to. I needed proof that I had what it took to be able to go out into the world and use my art. So years later, I got released from jail, went out into the world, and once I began to display my art, I began to go on the streets. I began to sell my art on the streets. I began to draw art, paint art, and this long before I ever went to any college or any schooling for art. So like I said, I would draw art. I would make copies of my art, sell it on the streets. I began to sketch portraits of people, children's. I would sketch pictures of all types of family members. And that's where my confidence began to grow, as where I began to redefine myself as not just a person that was selling drugs on the streets, doing crime. I began to change my identity, and I began to now be seen as an artist, a street artist. That was something that I was labeled as a street artist, an artist that sketched portraits for money. And once I began to redefine myself and learn how to make money with art, I would meet different artists that was way advanced in the art world than me, and I realized that I needed more. I needed to learn more. I needed to study more. I needed to do more with my art to take my art to the next level. So what I did, I went back to school and I went hanging around the art galleries, and I learned to define my art and tell my art through different ways. So as you can see now in this painting, the painting is somewhat a sketch, real detailed. So now I'm just finishing it off, giving you all different techniques of the design of a bird, the freedom of a bird, the freedom of self, the freedom of the ability to do what you can do to redefine yourself. That's something that I learned being incarcerated, being amongst birds and being amongst people, that freedom is everything. Freedom can help you have the ability to become whoever you want to be. And that's something I learned being incarcerated and doing art. I learned how to change my world into an art world. And today I can say, I'm free. Thanks for watching One Eye Television. My name is Shaheed. Stay tuned for the next episode.